Kia ora, this is Liz. Welcome to Dame's Blaze. If you are new to the channel, can I suggest you go look at the intro video so that you know what's going on. If you are not new to the channel, you do know what's going on. So grab your Bible, and while you're grabbing your Bible, I will remind you to subscribe, hit the bell icon, like, give us a comment, give us a share, do all that good stuff. So we're looking today at John chapter 7 verses 6 to 9. I'll read them to you now. Then Jesus said to them, "My time has not yet come, but your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me, because I testify of it that its works are evil. You go up to this feast. I am not yet going up to this feast, for my time has not yet fully come." When he had said these things to them, he remained in Galilee. Just a point which I'm doing this off sheet because I lost the digital form of it. So if you hear a funny sweeping sound, it's me turning a page. Anyway. Jesus' reply to his brothers is, as I said last week, basically the same reply he gave to his mother. My time has not yet come. What he means by this has caused no end of debate. Some accuse him of lying, while the rest of the scholars from way back when see this as a sign of the pinpoint accuracy of the timing of Jesus, the timing of the plan of God. So let's dive in and see what's buried in these words. His brothers are headed to Jerusalem to celebrate tabernacles. It was one of the high feast celebrations that they were commanded to go to Jerusalem to celebrate. One sermon that I read said it was similar to our celebration of Christmas. It's a time of great rejoicing and fun. Family groups travel to Jerusalem together, making as much of a holiday as the journey as well as the week that they spend in Jerusalem. His brothers want him to join the party, to travel with them, be part of the fun. But he tells them his time has not yet come. So the word time here is not the typical one of chronos, but rather kairos, which does mean time, but it refers to a specific time or season. Time is an opportunity, the suitable time. So Jesus isn't referring to hours and minutes here. He's talking about exact timing. It's not the right timing for him to be in Jerusalem. He will go to this feast, but not yet, and not with them. And there are good reasons for that, which I will get to shortly. While it's not his time to them he says, your time is always ready, which is an awkward way to say things, but it comes down to the King James Version of the Bible. Other versions might have, you can go at any time, which is a bit more sensible. The contrast between these two statements gives us clues as to what Jesus is referring to here. If they can go at any time, and he cannot go, then there is a specific plan in play here that means the timing is now down to carefully considered days and moments. We're only 6 months away from the cross. Timing is now becoming crucial. When and how he next enters Jerusalem is vital. It is vital that he not be taken too early. His death must occur on Passover for all the links in the chains of history to come together. His brothers can go up there at any time at all. Makes no difference when they go. Nothing hinges on their getting the timing right. But it makes every difference when and how Jesus does. Side note, on the phrase go up to Jerusalem, the reason it's always go up to Jerusalem is obviously because Jerusalem is on a hill. So it makes no difference when the brothers go up, right? Nothing's hanging on their appearance in Royal David City, but there's a whole lot riding on Jesus's timing. All of the feasts that are held in Jerusalem have a kind of party atmosphere about them, but Booths in particular is a celebration of the end of the religious year. So it's a big one, right? It's the time when they roll up all the scrolls and they call it finished. And then after Tabernacles, they start again back at Genesis scroll. And as I said, one scholar likened it to Christmas for the Jews, or possibly New Year's maybe. What does that mean then? Well, it means lots of noise and people. Roads that are heaving with Jews and their family groups heading to Jerusalem. Lots of people who might, upon seeing Jesus with his family, try to make him king or try to kill him. He cannot afford to go with the family group. There will be too much notice taken of them as they enter Jerusalem, as indeed there is if you check out verse 11 for a minute. There you'll see that the Jews go to Jesus' family and ask them where he is. And remember, his brothers don't believe in him. and they want him to present himself before the council. So what do you suppose his family would have done if he'd been with them? Turned him in, right? Not because they wanted him dead or anything, but because they really didn't believe in him, and they possibly have some mad idea that the council would be able to prove to Jesus that he wasn't the Messiah, and they could all go back to their nice quiet little lives in Nazareth. Jesus doesn't go with his brothers because he knows that they will be questioned by the authorities about his whereabouts. The Jews were expecting to see him in Jerusalem with his family, and if they had found him, they would have taken him then at Tabernacles and had him killed, which would have blown the whole symbolic timeline completely out of the water. Also, it would have made his family incredibly guilty, don't you think? They would have been his betrayers, and that also wouldn't have fulfilled prophecy or do them any favours. So he says that his time is not yet, which many take to be a lie. We'll look at this more in depth next week, but there are skeptics and atheists who will tell you Jesus lied when he said he wasn't going to the feast, because they point out he does go to the feast. But in fact, he didn't say he wasn't going. He said his time wasn't yet, which is not the same thing, no matter what the atheists might tell you. Your time is always ready, he says to his brothers. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me. That little statement gave me pause. Why, I thought, couldn't the world hate them? The Greek word for hate means to hate, surprisingly. It means also to detest, love less, or esteem less, which is the way that Jesus uses it in Luke 14:26, when he says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children, etc., he's not saying there that you have to hate him, because he also said to hate was the same as murder as far as your heart was concerned. What he's saying is that he should come first, that you should esteem him more than the others in your life. Though that's not the meaning it carries here, however. Here in John, it does actually mean hate. The world doesn't hate his brothers, but it does hate him. It looks down its long shiny nose at him and considers him unworthy. But why doesn't it feel that way towards his brothers? Well, they are, as the world is. What does the world have to hate them about? If you are the same as everyone else, if you follow along with the crowd, doing as they do, acting as they act, the world has no problem with you. It's only when we buck the trend that people start to call you names, and these days at least, go and cancel you. Satan only really bothers us when we're doing something that bothers him. If you're going along, living your life like everyone else, driving it into the dust through alcohol, drugs, addiction, laziness, sexual perversion, I could go on and on and on, then why would he bother you? It's only when you turn your back on those kinds of behaviours and seek the Lord's ways that he even takes notice of you. To use Jesus' words in verse 7, Jesus is hated because he shines a light. He testifies against it. Everything he does counters the way that mankind was living at that time and now. Christianity is meant to be countercultural. It always was. The only reason we think it isn't is that for a very long time now, certainly our entire lifetimes, Christianity has been the prevailing ethic in the Western world. This has now changed, and we are starting to see persecution rise, as we were promised it would. It might be hard to take, but it shouldn't really surprise us. We were warned that persecution would rise, but I guess we all had a belief in our heart of hearts that it wouldn't be in our lifetimes, right? Unfortunately, it certainly seems to be. Christianity, it would seem, has had its day, although there are glimmerings that it's rising in certain other places. People are and have rejected it, and unfortunately, attacking believers has started. Take heart then, because we are closer to the end than ever before. So both uses of the word hate here have the same Greek word, but the one used for the boys is an infinitive, meaning it's the root word, so it's generic, broad overview statement, whereas the one used of Jesus is an indicative one, meaning the root has now been given some teeth and shows how things are in reality. They do hate him, particularly the Jews, as John describes them, or the Jewish elite, modern people might call them. They make up the biggest portion of the Sanhedrin, but I can't quite call out the whole group as haters because Well, Nicodemus is in there, and he doesn't hate Jesus, right? He's confused and unsure, but he's not seething with resentment and jealousy as the others seem to be. They hate him, this man who came to save the world, this healer, toucher of lepers, man for the downtrodden and ashamed, the Sanhedrin that's meant to care for its population, to look after both their physical and spiritual needs. They hate him with a passion that cannot be assuaged until they see him on the cross. I wonder how Nicodemus stood it. But why? Yeah, you've got to ask why. Is it just jealousy, or is it more to it than that? I hinted at it before, right? Jesus shone a spotlight on the deeds of darkness. He is the light. And if you imagine what happens when you turn on a light in a room that's been in darkness for years, what do you see, right? Cockroaches scuttling for the corners. Cockroaches, just like demons, they don't like the light. Jesus came to testify, which means to bear witness. The Greek word is where the word martyr comes from. The witness that Jesus bore was what mankind would be like, what it could be like, how we should be acting. And those that aren't acting like it the most, those that know what they should be doing and yet don't do it, they come out fighting. Jesus was the light of the world. John started his gospel with that thought in his first chapter. The light of the universe walked the earth, and everywhere he went, people were either humbled and went to him for help, or they were exposed and they came out fighting. They hated him because he revealed themselves to themselves, and they didn't like what they saw. But their pride wouldn't allow them to change, and so they opted to seek his life instead. I really wonder how they felt after the crucifixion. Did they despair, as Judas did, or did they continue in their own self-righteous anger? The word concerning is missing from my translation. In the original, the second part of verse 7 reads, because I testify concerning it, that its works are evil. It's a shame that it's missing, because the word concerning is peri, which means all about, on every side, from every angle. When used as a prefix, peri means all around. It's why we have the word perimeter, right, which is all around the edge. Jesus knows all about their evil deeds, their peccadillos, all the little things we do in the dark, or the privacy of our own homes. He sees it all and loves us anyway. I was talking to an ex-druggie / alcoholic / wife beater once, who was struggling to believe that God could care for him. I tried to talk to him about the forgiveness of God, but he kept on saying that I didn't know what he'd done, which is quite true, right? I have no idea. But I missed a trick there, which I will never miss again because it is in the back of my mind. I missed the obvious answer to that particular dilemma, and I wonder if you know what it is. I didn't know all that he'd done, right? God does. In fact, God knows all the things that he's probably even forgotten, right? And yet God still extends forgiveness and love through the death of his son. Jesus knows all that the members of the Sanhedrin have done and what they will do, and they must, on some level at least, know that. He has exposed some of their sins over the past 2.5 years. He's accused them of being hypocrites, of not caring for those under their care, of stealing and lying and cheating. He's got their mark and they loathe him for it. They hate him because he has exposed their evil deeds. Evil is poneiros, meaning something evil, of course, but it also is used to mean bad, wicked, malicious, and even slothful, which I found kind of surprising. I didn't realise slothful was on the same sort of level as the others. But there you go. God has a much higher standard than we realise. The word poneros comes from the root ponos, which means pain or laborious trouble, which adds the pain and the misery that accompanies the evil deed to the evil deed itself. So Jesus exposes all of that. And oddly enough, the evildoers don't seem to like it. Go figure. When Jesus is speaking to Nicodemus, this is what he says. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that the light has come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than the light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone practicing evil hates the light, and does not come to the light, lest his deeds should be exposed. It's all that needs to be said, really. Why did they hate him? Because he showed them up for what they truly were. Whitewashed tombs full of dead men's bones. They were hypocrites and liars, pretending a piety that they didn't possess. When we sin, which we all do from time to time, it's better to run to the throne and beg for forgiveness than to try and hide in the dark. You can't hide anything from God. Better to just deal with it and move on. Jesus finishes with an instruction for his brothers. You go up to this feast. I am not yet going up to this feast, for my time has not yet fully come. The word yet is not found in the old manuscripts. It doesn't change the meaning of the scripture, but it does remove the accusation of a lie that gets bandied about. We can, I think, explain it still without the yet, but the yet adds clarity. So let's take the yet out for a moment, and I'll show you why it was put in, right? The I am not is in the present tense, meaning it's for that moment, not for all time. So the sense of the yet is still there with or without it. What he doesn't say is I won't go to Jerusalem, but that I won't go to the feast. Now it's an extremely subtle difference, but it is a difference because when we see him in Jerusalem, he's not at the feast. He's not partying and having fun. He's teaching, which seems to me to be the answer to the whole conundrum, but then I couldn't find that idea anywhere else, so I may be just making it up out of nothing at all. What I can be certain of is that he's not going yet, because his time is not fully come. So fully is plero, meaning to make full or be complete. The time for the fullness of all that he came to achieve is not yet upon us, and he doesn't want to join the cavalcade of happy revelers. He will go to Jerusalem, but not with all the fanfare that his brothers go with. The timing's not right. So much hinged on him being taken at Passover. So much symbolism would have been missed if he'd been taken at Tabernacles. And so he doesn't join the crowd. He sends his brothers away and he remains in Galilee. Not meaning that he stayed there permanently, but that he lingered behind for a few days, waiting for that first rush of people to come, for the Sanhedrin to seek him, not find him, and then to go in secret, as we are told. Timing so crucial to God at times. I've often been a procrastinator and have beaten myself up for it. But recent events have shown me just how careful God is with my time. Taking on caring for and teaching my great nieces for 3 days a week truncated my time for a while, leaving me with little wriggle room. But when I was needed elsewhere, God made the time. It made me really understand that he is overlooking my life and that the choice I made to take on the girls was in his will for me, which is comforting and scary at the same time. If you've been feeling lately that your time is out of control, maybe take a step back and seek the Lord for a bit to see if there's something you're doing that isn't really on his agenda. And if it is on his agenda for you, then rest in his arms instead of trying to do it all in your own strength. None of us is really strong enough to do this life thing without him, though we often think we are. Your time is in his hands. If you take the steps he wants you to take, you'll get everything done that he wants you to do. And that is all I have for you this week. I pray blessings upon you, your household and your endeavours, and pray I see you healthy and whole again next week. Ka kite anō.